الذي أخذه عليكم سليمان أن تخرجوا وترحلوا من بيتنا أناشدكم الله أن تخرجوا ولا تؤذوا أحدا وترحلوا من بيتنا. Aku ingatkan kepada kamu dengan sumpah yang pernah diucapkan oleh Nabi Sulaiman, keluarkanlah dan pergilah kamu dari rumah kami. Aku sumpah kamu dengan nama Allah, keluarkan kamu dan jangan kamu menyakiti seseorang pun. Amin ya rabbal alamin.
Datang ke bahagian kedua episod kali ini bersama Brother Hijazi kita dalam tadi pada episod yang pertama kita telah merungkaikan ataupun kita telah we talk about penyakit ain. Jadi bagian pada siapa yang belum lagi tonton bahagian yang nombor 1, kalau nak tahu lebih lanjut pasal penyakit ain ni, bolehlah just tap on the first episode of this bahagian. Tap on the bahagian yang pertama dalam episod yang ni. Betul.
Must watch.
Must watch. Penyakit ain dia banyak sangat information yang very important yang you all boleh dapatkan dalam episod tu.
Correct. Aku technically dah tanyakan banyak soalan untuk korang. Tapi kalau korang ada more soalan about penyakit ain yang still confusing, korang can just type in the comments
Betul. Satu hari kita boleh panggil Brother Hijazi lagi dalam, kita boleh panjangkan lagi sikit, kita will talk about this.
Betul,
InsyaAllah. Tapi now dalam bahagian yang kedua ni, as we all know, beliau adalah pengasas Bidara SG. Bidara ni, as kita semua tahu, biasanya dalam rumah orang Melayu ni kan, dekat luar rumah tu ada pokok-pokok bidara.
Betul.
Rumah kau ada kan?
Rumah aku tak ada.
Rumah aku tak ada.
Okay. Rumah mak mertua aku ada.
Ada juga. Cik. Okay. So Jaz, is it must to have pokok bidara dekat luar rumah ni?
Masya-Allah, soalan
starting dia kau dah kasih soalan ni.
Okay, apa tu bidara, pokok bidara ataupun daun bidara ni, apa function dia actually?
Okay. Ni soalan contentious banyak lagi ni ya.
Okay.
Okay. Bismillah. Okay. Daun bidara ni is a unique plant which is actually unique to us orang Islam. Sebab dalam Al-Quran telah dinyatakan di mana di penghujung syurga jannah ada sepohon yang dinamakan Sidratul Muntaha.
Sidratul
Kita pernah dengar.
Betul.
Sidratul Muntaha.
Jadi kalau kita nak tanya kenapa uniknya tentang daun bidara ni atau bidara ni when it comes to Islam or when it comes to kita dalam rawatan ruqyah ni semua, that will be my first reference lah. Maknanya ini adalah pohon syurga. Okay, jadi kita kena faham lah, ini adalah pohon syurga yang Allah dah katakan dalam Quran. Dan tempat yang di mana di situ ada sebuah pohon yang dinamakan Sidratul Muntaha. Jadi dalam konteks penggunaan bidara ni, dalam kita punya archipelago Nusantara kita, we are very fortunate sebab it grows abundantly. Bidara ni, kalau dekat Changi kita boleh dapatkan daun bidara ni banyak lah. Dekat the parts of the Changi area there, it grows wildly lah. Okay. Dan kita pun selalu fikirkan yang bidara ni sebenarnya adalah sesuatu pokok yang unik yang boleh digunakan untuk menghalau jin dan sebagainya.
Betul, itu common lah.
Very common. Tapi yang kita tak sedar sebenarnya banyak kali kita dah minum sebenarnya air bidara.
Kejap.
Sebab
explain lagi.
Bidara ni, a subspecies of bidara is actually kita punya red date drinks.
Okay.
Red date tu yang kita minum kan, kalau kat Singsale orang jual dos red date, itu adalah buah red dates, buah bidara lah. It's just a subspecies of it.
Okay.
Jadi kalau bahasa Inggeris dia jujube. Jujub, Jube lah. Jujub. Jadi kalau bidara tu dia nama-nama dia cedar, lote, L-O-T-E. Okay, jujube, Ziziphus Christi. Okay, jadi ni semua adalah dia punya permutations atau nama-namanya. Jadi kita jangan terkesima sangat kalau orang cakap, oh, I'm using Ziziphus Christi, daun bidara tu kan. Ataupun my brand, I'm bringing in lote leaves, oleh kata daun bidara. Cuma nama-nama dia according to the regions are different lah.
I see.
Okay. Jadi macam saran tanya apa uniknya, sebab dalam penggunaan daun bidara ni, dia pun bukan digunakan khas atau khusus untuk gangguan jin atau sihir. Okay, this one nak kena dibang dulu, nak kena bilang orang. Kalau awak tanam pokok bidara kat luar rumah atau awak beli pohon bidara letak kat luar rumah dengan harapan dengan ikhtiar ini akan memagar rumah anda, salah. Okay. And this is something that we can educate even for our friends, our families, like our loved ones. Pasal memang dorang akan terfikir macam gitu.
Betul.
Sebab kenapa? I salahkan Samsul Yusof.
Alamak.
Syamsul Yusof.
Sebab kenapa? Bila dia keluarkan cerita munafik, kan? Ingat tak satu part whereby Maya Karin tengah lari-lari dalam hutan, sekali Samsul Yusof keluarkan tu ranting bidara. Dia tunjuk dekat Maya Karin. Dah jadi macam crucifix saya Saran.
Oh dah keluar. Ini dah promosi dia punya movie ni. Nak kena minta royalty.
But the reason why I share this is because this is the misconception yang kita tengok dekat wayang.
Yalah.
Yang kita ingatkan that is the significance of daun bidara. Maknanya ada that power to repel gangguan jin atau sihir. Maknanya kalau kita ketuk orang yang kena rasuk, dia akan rasa macam tak adalah.
Bedek lah tu. Faham?
Jadi disappointing lah if you don't have that effect lah. Jadi kalau orang jual ranting bidara pun kat Shopee ke Carousel dengan promise Saran kayu ni dia ambil daripada mana-mana. Kalau hentak orang yang kena rasuk, orang tu akan nangis. Sorry to disappoint you, it doesn't happen that way.
Macam Harry Potter punya wand pula
Yeah. So sebenarnya daun bidara, this one kalau kita nak go into a business, I'll tell you, daun bidara is the best product for us Muslims to use because it is a cosmetic product. Yang kita semua tak gunakan sebab it is a proven element, a proven raw material yang digunakan untuk menyihatkan rambut, muka. It also has anesthetic atau anesthetic maknanya dia boleh membaikkan luka-luka. So all the benefits of cedar actually is cosmetically.
I see.
Dia tak ada kena-mengena dengan jin or sihir.
Faham.
Tapi the reason why kenapa ianya digunakan sebagai gangguan jin atau gangguan sihir, kerana dalam zaman Nabi dengan zaman sahabat tak ada orang yang gunakan daun bidara ni untuk gangguan sihir atau jin.
Okay.
Ianya digunakan untuk orang yang baru masuk Islam, maka dia mandi dengan air yang dicampurkan dengan daun bidara, atau jenazah, atau orang yang habis haid nak mandi, kan, mandi dengan air bidara. These were the 3 uses that were used during the Prophet's time and sahabat's time. Tapi it was used as a treatment, ruqyah treatment was after zaman-zaman tabi'in. Dan ini adalah atas satu tajribah ataupun an experimentation of one tabi'in, ulama yang bernama Wahab bin Munabbih. When surah Al-Baqarah ayat 102 ditafsirkan oleh Ibn Kathir, then he looked at it and then he did experimentation with bidara. So he realised that bila daun bidara ni kita mengambil 7 helai daun bidara yang segar, kita tumbuk di antara 2 batu dan kita campurkan pada sebaldi air, dan lalu dibacakan ayat-ayat ruqyah seperti Al-Fatihah, Ayatul Kursi, Al-Kafirun, Al-Ikhlas, Al-Falaq dengan An-Nas sebanyak 3 atau 7 kali. Kita tiup, kita minum sedikit air itu, lalu yang belennya kita mandi, maka apa-apa efek sihir akan tanggal. Especially sihir yang berkaitan dengan rumah tangga ataupun sihir tafrik. So that was his experimentation, which was repeated and it proved successful. So that is why we take from that precedence that daun bidara can be used for ruqyah treatment.
Okay, so tadi you ada cakap pasal macam mana timbulnya the treatment of macam mana the timbulnya the usage of bidara,
penggunaan daun bidara dalam rawatan
treatment, untuk treatment. Tapi kenapa okay, I wouldn't put it a question. I macam sekarang dah tengah confused macam mana kefahaman treatment of the usage of bidara ni jadi treatment. Boleh jadi macam just ada pohon kat luar boleh halau jin. Macam mana kefahaman dia in Melayu punya konteks boleh jadi macam gitu. Pasal dia tak ada kena-mengena. Masa you explain tadi semua, dia tak ada kena-mengena dengan bidara dengan jin. Dia just obat. Macam kalau contohlah doktor cakap obat ni untuk kalau you makan ubat ni kan, batuk you baik. Habis you beli ubat tu banyak-banyak letak kat dinding. Terus jadi batuk you takkan batuk semua hidup. You know, is that kind. The kefahaman tu boleh lari. So my question is, agak-agak you kenapa macam mana boleh jadi macam itu dia punya kefahaman boleh jadi macam itu?
Okay, I will disclaim myself by saying wallahu alam.
Okay.
But I will want to draw your attention to this. Seandainya kita bayangkan masyarakat kita, I take it myself first. I tak suka cakap masyarakat kita, nanti orang tersinggung.
Betul.
But I take it myself. Let's say you are perukia, Kai, and then I keep telling you macam, Kai, dah mandi daun bidara tak baik lah. Kai, dah mandi daun bidara tak baik lah. Lepas tu I keep coming to you, and then satu hari you fed up. I datang, I keep coming with the same thing kan. And then you say, Jas, kalau tu kan tak work kan, letak je daun bidara kat luar lah.
Faham.
Kali it works, terus macam it works. What if that is actually talbis iblis? Kan maknanya syaitan actually wants to make you believe that that is the proper way to make me better, because the act of taking medicine is going to work eventually, but it needs time.
Yes.
Betul tak?
Yes.
Okay. But at the point of me wanting to give up, I come to you, and then you pun dah bopian, dah malas kan. You cakap, okay lah, just letak je lah daun bidara tu kat luar. Manalah tahu kan, sekali baik. Sekali I pun letak, I follow what you said, and I put. Sekali I baik.
Faham.
Tanpa tanpa buat usaha yang lain.
Correct.
Betul.
The one that has been should be done kan, I didn't do it anymore, I just do that. Then ever since that, it has been my precedence. Maknanya from there on, everybody believe that putting that bidara plant outside akan menghalau jin. Jin pun tepuk tangan kat tepi.
Betul.
Because dia tak buat benda yang ulama suruh, you buat benda yang orang yang biasa-biasa suruh.
Ada juga yang sampai dorang I came across lah orang pakai daun-daun bidara tu letak dalam wallet banyak-banyak. Sebagai satu pengharapan bahawa dia dapat membenteng diri dia ni daripada gangguan-gangguan negatif.
Oh yeah, that brings me to a point. I pernah, alamak ni kalau I ceritakan ni, I tak tahu dia tengok ke tak, tapi kalau dia tengok, Allahuaklam tak apa, just say hi lah. I ada satu klien ni, I jual rumah dia dekat North East side lah. Okay. Lepas tu viewing semua as per normal tau. Sekali ada satu kali tu, ada viewer Melayu datang. I tak perasan tau benda tu, tapi viewer Melayu ni datang, tapi dia check in detail lah, quite detail. So dia pergi dekat tingkap. Sekali kat tingkap ada satu ranting lah. Sekali dia tanya I, ni ranting ni apa I tak pernah nampak daun bidara, I tak pernah nampak plant bidara ni macam mana. So I cakap dengan dia, oh ni mungkin anak dia tengah buat eksperimen lah, agaknya letak sini nak buat science eksperimen ke apa lah. Sekali bila viewer tu dah balik, I tanya my owner lah. Sekali my owner cakap, oh itu ranting bidara lah. Okay, cakap ranting bidara, I pernah dengar pasal bidara ni. Kalau bidara dia kena-mengena dengan Pontianak lah, apalah kan. So I tanya dia, alamak, rumah ni ada benda ke? Ada cerita ke? Sekali dia cakap, oh tak, pasal anak saya boleh nampak. So anak saya pernah nampak. So ever since that, dorang letak ranting bidara tu dekat every tingkap, so that kalau dia tak akan nampak lagi lah, pasal benda tu macam Pontianak tu tak akan datang dekat apa. So bila at that point of time, baru I tahu yang bidara ni kena mengena dengan jin lah, yang kefahaman dia yang yang jadi, oh this thing is, the plant is protecting the house. So it's, bila kau ceritakan macam gitu, it reminds me of that lah.
Just pernah came across macam gini punya situation.
Ni dah kira kurafat alam Melayu juga I mean, you come to that category. I had a patient once, very early on when I started out. Dia suka beli barang bidara from me, and then because the husband has not come back a lot of days, a lot of nights from Batam apparently lah. And then the interesting part is that dia keep buying, and I was very curious kenapa kakak ni asyik beli semua. Dia cakap pasal kakak nak ikhtiarkan balik lah, my husband come back. And then I say, anything else kakak buat? Yeah, I've done this. So she actually took a picture of her room. Dekat atas katil dia ada satu pasu bunga pokok bidara.
Pasu bunga
atas katil dia.
Atas
So dia punya thinking is that kalau letak tu, apa-apa aura or vibes yang attached to that bed akan hilang, then the husband will come back to sleep on that bed. So that one, macam Sarhan cakap, itu dah syirik kecil, because you already have that kind of attachment.
Mungkin suami dia tak nak balik pasal ada pokok
kan. But how do we say that to people? Because they are in a state of desperation.
Yeah, true. So, ni dah PR punya level lah dah go to PR punya level.
Yeah, so it's difficult in that sense lah. Cuma I think the unique thing as we are discussing this, kita kadang-kadang dalam alam Melayu ni, we actually are looking for symbolism.
Symbolism.
When it comes to ruqyah or whatever lah, spiritual punya ni, when we talk about maybe Christianity, diorang ada crucifix. Kan? Mungkin The Hindus have their deities, God semua. Tapi kita orang Islam tak ada Saran.
Betul.
Kita ada doa je.
Betul.
Jadi kalau kita nak cakap kat doa je, again we come back to the point of tauhid. Kalau you don't have tauhid or fardu ain dekat dalam diri you will feel very macam unmotivated, macam
Betul.
alah, balik-balik Kai suruh aku doa,
Betul.
balik-balik suruh bikin zikir pagi petang. I need something visual, something that aku tahu aku letak kat situ, it is aku punya ikhtiar.
Betul.
Jadi apa dia buat? Dia belilah satu pokok bunga. I still remember in 2017, that whole 1 year I was not selling my Bidara product because in Carousel semua jual pokok Bidara. So people were buying pokok Bidara more than buying Bidara products. So Carousel they were selling it. And it was like macam $25 diorang hantar ke rumah.
Kalau macam gitu jatuh dalam kurafat Jatuh dalam kurafat
I mean, the whole thing is actually a kurafat alam Melayu lah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Pasal you dah percaya that Bidara ni will protect.
Bidara ni dia dah have dia punya own usage. Tak hanya protect against makhluk-makhluk jin ni, tapi dia juga adalah macam tadi Just kata itself is a product untuk apa cosmetic products itself. So kalau kita talk about Bidara ni, actually dia punya kalau we talk in depth, is to me is actually quite wide, very wide.
Of course it has its advantages. It's just a belief. The belief of the individual to saying that this Bidara is the one who helped me. This Bidara, macam let's say for example use for treatment, kali baik you cannot say that baik tu because of Bidara apa.
Tauhid lah tu.
Bayangkan kalau negeri-negeri yang tak ada daun Bidara, how they treat themselves. Let's say New Zealand. I had a consultation over email with this guy in India.
Email
I was telling him to do ni, and I pun terlupa, I pun tak tahu yang dia from India. And then I was suggesting him untuk mandi dengan air Bidara semua that thing. And then he asked me what is this, and then I said sidr. What is sidr? Then I said this is. So in his community there is no concept of using daun Bidara.
Yes.
It's just doa, namaz, solat, you know, a lot of durud, that kind of thing. So when I suggest this to him, it was very alien to him. So my question is, why kalau daun Bidara ni is so attached to Ruqyah ni, kenapa it's not available everywhere?
Yalah.
Right? Everybody should have access to this, right? Kalau kita tanya Pak Arab pun, ada tak Bidara Ruqyah? I don't think he will have that kind of thing. So it's only us in Nusantara yang
the belief system come from different country culture lah yang start benda tu. So not from other
bayangkan
countries.
kalau kita buat bisnes Bidara, kita jual kat orang Iceland, Norway, diorang ada gangguan cinta? Of course ada. It's everywhere, right? You just imagine you ship daun Bidara, how much it cost. It's a business by itself kan. But that's the part about tauhid lah. Maknanya perlu tak kita gunakan daun Bidara excessively in that sense? Probably not lah.
I think for nowadays dia punya the usage of Bidara is, minta maaf lah, I think it's keterlaluan sedikit lah. Sikit-sikit Bidara. No doubt that Bidara is good, tetapi it goes down to tauhid lah.
For someone like me who is macam I would say an average person lah, tak berapa mahir dalam bidang-bidang gaib-gaib ni lah kan, pun I will feel that almost everyone who always has a knowledge of macam sihir ni semua kan akan relate it to Bidara, daun Bidara. So
even
bila
these days, I mean, I sell Bidara products kan. Now I have to reverse engineer a lot of the way I sell my products. I have to downplay the Bidara part, I have to downplay the Ruqyah part. So even now when I sell products, I will say that my products pun diruqyahkan dengan ayat-ayat asas. Tapi please ruqyah on your own. There is always my message after you make an order. There is always a message whereby please ruqyah your own products. This product is, maknanya dah diruqyahkan dengan ayat-ayat asas, tapi the responsibility is for you to ruqyah your own product. That's the problem kan, because orang akan taksub dengan produk Bidara.
Taksub is the word.
Taksub. Yes.
Even though it give benefit to your business, orang beli.
Correct. But that's the thing, because we don't want to, maaf cakap, the word I want to use is we don't want to menjual the benefits or the essence of Ruqyah in that manner lah.
It's goes down to his principle lah.
Betul. Responsible lah, he's responsible.
So bagi siapa semua yang tak tahu Brother Jazz ni dia ada website tersendiri, iaitu Ruqyah Box. Ruqyah Box dan juga Bidara SG adalah kepunyaan yourself, right? Yang jual produk-produk untuk ruqyah seperti spray ruqyah,
Spray, okay.
Atar, right?
Atar.
Atar, then serbuk bidara and apa ni? Balm bidara.
Ya.
All this apa sahaja barang-barang yang ada berkaitan dengan rawatan, you guys can come to his website and buy from him. I myself pun beli pada dia. Ada juga perawat perukia-perukia luar pun beli pada Brother Jazz ni. I mean his product is alhamdulillah, masya-Allah.
Masya-Allah.
Alhamdulillah.
Baru nak tanya.
Apa dia?
Yelah, dapat mana produk dia? Website ada lah. Beli terus.
Daripada Rukia Box. Nanti kita tulis kat bawah ni.
Letak kan
Rukia Box.
shopping cart terus.
InsyaAllah. So your bidara ni, you start daripada 2016, right? What makes you actually start this bidara journey?
No, because bila kita kena gangguan kan, kita nak solution kan. So I actually look under Instagram. So I type in lah. Pasal that time tengah baca-baca, orang cakap kasturi bagus, bidara bagus. So I type kasturi dengan bidara. Sekali keluar satu produk, nama produk dia kasturi bidara. Daripada Selangor. So it was just one product, and then after that I bought 2 boxes of it, and then it was shipped over. Tak tahu pula ni product actually was made from home, and diorang baru nak start. So I brought the product in, I used one, and then the other one I sold in Carousel. The first client that I sold this Carousel punya ni produk kasturi bidara ni, dia dah pakai, dia message I, dia cakap, just nak tanya, kenapa panas macam terbakar bila pakai kat leher? I was like macam shocked by that question. Asal pula terbakar aku pakai tak ada apa-apa. Dia cakap, kalau you pakai minyak wangi lain terbakar tak? Tak ada, ni pakai kasturi je terbakar. Then tanya, baru dia confess yang dia ni budak kuda kepang. Jadi dia cakap dia sebenarnya tengah nak try nak buang dia punya amalan dia semua. Jadi dia belilah dia produk. So dia beli kasturi tu, jadi bila dia pakai dekat tengkuk dia, dia rasa macam terbakar. Sampai dia kena pergi doktor because it was ni. So I thought produk ni macam bagus So I start lah bawa more and more. So bila dah bawa banyak-banyak tu, then I started selling online lah. Then that's when I begin to study in depth a little bit, apa ni sebenarnya kasturi dengan bidara, why kasturi, why bidara. Then I realised there's a lot of things attached to this yang kalau I think macam Saha will understand, kalau tak di-explainkan to the community properly, it can be manipulated and exploited.
Betul.
So that's the thing about kasturi dengan bidara.
I just remember kasturi is the one yang banyak di kalangan perukia, not only Singapore, yang ada country juga yang pakai kasturi. Yang I mention tadi tu, yang bila kalau ada gangguan badan dia ada jin, bila kasih bau tu kasturi, jin tu akan cakap busuk. Right? Kalau tak ada, wangilah. Kasturi tu wangi kan. Dia punya tu.
Bila you cakap these things can be manipulated and exploited, what do you mean?
Yelah, maknanya kita boleh apa benda pun kita letak pun, kalau kita letak, let's say kita cakap dalam ni ada bidara, dalam ni ada kasturi, it adds on to the gravitas of the product. Pasal orang attach kasturi dengan bidara
relating to treatment sihir. So faham.
From a treatment wise, how much bidara, how much kasturi do you need to put into a product to make it impactful or significant? Kan? Kalau I letak satu titik je, kat ni ada kasturi kat.
Betul.
Kan? So you can manipulate and exploit.
I see. That's what you meant. Faham?
So that's why for me, kalau ni for me these days, I sell you the party itself. Let's say I sell the party kasturi kan, party bidara. I say, Kak, this one party bidara means with this party bidara, the essential oil, you make lah your own product. Kakak punya Lenvin ke, kakak, I mean this is just ni lah kakak punya minyak wangi kasturi you beli daripada Mekah ke whatever. Kalau you nak buat ni, just put one titik. Kalau you ada minyak zaitun you nak urut kan, you letak the bidara, because these are all the physical benefits of bidara.
Faham.
We don't want to mystify bidara to an extent.
I see.
We are losing a lot of opportunity to actually. Again, I'll share this with you. Kalau kita look at bidara as a product that is commercial in terms of its cosmetic products, we can generate a range of product which is really unique to bidara. Orang Arab pakai bidara bukan untuk ni, diorang buat facial mask semua. Kita je pergi Al-Barakah cari barang bidara pasal nak halau jin. So that's the thing, we are losing out on that market.
Actually you should do lah apa facial mask bidara.
But again the audience belum is not ready to accept Pakai facial mask.
Unik tu.
Bidara.
You have a Sidir rejuvenation package dekat spa. You punya rambut pakai bidara.
Ya,
You punya muka kosmetik you punya facial mask pakai bidara. You punya mandian pakai bidara. There is already $288 spa package using only bidara leaves.
You know,
Orang takkan nak tap.
yeah.
Jom next business
No, but there's the thing. Bila let's say for example orang dengar, asal kau ambil package bidara.
Ya.
Takkan nak tulis itu kan.
No. Maksudnya let's say lah for example aku dengan kau lah, kita ladies lah kita pergi spa. Kan aku ambil package bidara. Kau mesti dah macam ni lain macam ni. Belakang dia ada tunggang benda ke? So that's what I meant by the acceptance of the audience belum ada lagi. So probably Arab dia tak terfikir pasal jin. So tu pasal dia boleh bikin this kind of products.
It's the community lah. It's the community that we are living in right
Correct.
now. Yeah.
So no point making the products kalau the community belum accept.
Agreed. It requires education, like one generation worth of education.
Correct. Which is like the previous part 1 kita cakap pasal fardu ain, sama juga
Tapi I think newer generation lah, yang budak-budak muda baru ni sekarang, yang I think kalau kita kasih awareness, diorang dah tak terfikir macam dulu lagi. Kita dah tak terfikir pasal bidara jadi related to jin. Orang-orang lama je lah. So benda tu pun dia punya pemikiran pun dah nak dekat pupus. InsyaAllah lah.
So tu pasal
That's
tu
why-
pasal I think podcast like this kena
That's why we need people like him to come forward
to come here and share.
to come forward and talk about this kind of thing. Kalau nak harapkan kita bertiga ni habislah. Satu ke mana semua.
Bidara pergi, bidara balik sama cakap.
Bidara.
Yeah. So Izzaz, for you, I mean kita as we all know it, Jazir juga adalah seorang peruqyah yang disegani lah actually dekat Singapura, masya-Allah. Do you have any experience, pengalaman ni Pak Nikai suka?
Betul. Cerita-cerita yang okay lah, mungkin you ada banyak, tapi maybe yang paling you tak boleh lupa lah.
Maybe
Mungkin satu
sedih ke, ataupun menyeram yang mengganggu emosi Jaz sendiri ke, ataupun seram yang that tahap, that kind of level.
Biar penyakit ain atau sihir lah, sembarang lah.
Okay. I think the one on top of my list will be this incident which left me. I just decided to stop doing ruqyah for I think around 6 months. Because I was too agitated ataupun terkesan pasal for that experience. I realised that I did not assess my situation. I tak pakai punya SCDF punya skill lah, masa assess safety semua kan. So what happened was that the person who I was treating was actually a guy, very scrawny guy, umur dalam 20 lebih semua. Tapi dia ada, waktu I sampai dia tengah kerasukan macam singa, macam harimau lah. And then what I didn't realise was that because it was a 1-room rental flat, so it was all packed all around kan, macam gitu. And then I didn't realise that actually the mother actually went out and locked the door. So the mother and the daughter went out the door. So it was just me and him and the tunang lah. So I didn't realise that the door was locked. So he became very violent already. Then he began kicking the girl, being vicious lah. And when that happened, I also started to try to stop him and such, right? Tapi in that moment, he actually grew violent, and then we were actually, kita tengah bertumbuk, bukan bertumbuk as in what lah, we were trying to, macam I was trying to repel him because he was trying to kick and that kind of thing. So I was falling all over the place lah, that kind of thing. And that left me in a bad taste because I didn't do my own safety assessment, which was very bad. So how I deal with that eventually was that because he was starting to get very invasive dengan the girl. He was touching the girl in possessed state. He was touching the girl, semua that kind of thing. And then I ambil air baldi, I bacakan air ruqyah, dia tengah meracau dengan tu. I simbar kat muka dengan badan dia sikit dengan satu badan tu. So the whole house was flooded lah. But at that point of time I didn't care because it was safety already. But once he was macam terperanjat gitu, then bacakan ayat kursi, then I slap him, suruh dia bangun, just to get him to sedar balik lah. Then brought him down untuk minum kopi, then just told him. But from that experience, that was very enlightening for me because I know now about the safety precautions that a peruqyah has to take. Kita kadang-kadang datang macam macam gang-ho, macam but I realise that safety element yang kita kadang-kadang lupa. People in that kind of state, kita tak tahu dia ambil kayu ke, dia ambil pisau ke. Sometimes we are quite nearby. So that part left me triggered, and I just left for a while, around 6 months before I get back the courage lah
Dah semangat balik lah.
Semangat balik. Yeah, because he was like macam I had a broken shoulder at that time. So I knew that if I just do one action, gone down my shoulder. So those are the kind of things lah. Kalau part macam sedih banyak lah. Sedih banyak because of going to a place and then you realise that the husband don't give a care about what's happening to the wife or to the children. Macam kalau bini aku terganggu, bini aku lah yang terganggu. Kalau anak aku yang terganggu, anak aku yang terganggu. So I've been to places whereby I ruqyah, the suami tidur. Like, don't give a hoot, you know. So that's why bila Sarhan cakap why I'm a bit strict, I'm a bit strict when it comes to I know that there's a man in the house. For me personally, I paling pantang kalau I tahu kalau ada lelaki kat rumah and he doesn't give a hoot about the condition of the house or whatever is happening in the house. Pasal it's not my responsibility to come and answer the call at night to attend to your wife when your wife knows that she has you as the husband. So this part, that's why I say macam Sarhan cakap, it has to be incorporated into dalam satu kursus rumah tangga, because the husband has to know tanggungjawab untuk protect, melindungi adalah suami.
Betul.
Bukan peruqyah yang kau call pukul 2 pagi ke pukul 4 pagi tapi kau ada duit 200 ke 300 untuk bayar ni untuk come and solve the problem. No, that's not our job. Our job is to tell you that you need to do this, you need to have the courage to do this for your wife. Okay, so that's the sedih part lah. And it's a lot in our community. I know Sarhan can relate to this because most of the time the ones who call us are women. Why? Ada anak, ada bapa, ada suami, ada. Why are they not doing anything? Pasal diorang tak ada ilmu.
Betul.
So if you ask me, the society doesn't need peruqyah. The society needs to learn the knowledge.
Oh, that is deep. That is deep. Let me repeat that. The society doesn't need peruqyah. The society needs to learn
the knowledge.
The woman needs a man.
Apa kau?
Ni ke sana pula.
Betul lah.
Terus pergi rumah tangga pula. Orang ajar kursus. Kau pergi rumah tangga terus.
But
that is deep. Oh, thank you so much for that, man.
Satu perkongsian, you know, the first half was quite aggressive. The second part tu is quite emotional.
Correct. Emotional close I would say. That is very deep.
So korang boleh tengok lah kita peruqyah ni, kita punya, you know, emotion pun up and down, flaring juga kadang-kadang, you know, nak agresif, kadang-kadang sedih, kadang-kadang ni. Satu rumah pagi kau pergi agresif, tiba-tiba tengah hari nak kena mellow down. That's kind of thing lah yang kita peruqyah face day in
all
day
the
out
challenges
lah. The challenges that we facing. Tapi apa yang jadi Judge kata, yang the kisah yang pertama tu is, you know, it's very important kalau orang dalam rumah tu, kalau let's say just datang seorang, tapi kalau ada yang dia punya bapa ke ataupun let's say pesakit tu adalah seorang wanita, suaminya ada ke apa, boleh juga datang membantu peruqyah ataupun perawat yang ada kat situ. You tak boleh harapkan kita seorang je. Kita pun ada kekurangan kita sendiri. Faham Yes. So for me, I will do my appreciation of situation before I come in. Ada tengok pisau dekat mana, gunting dekat mana, ada letak kat sini kat sana semua.
Really?
Really. That's what I do lah. I mean, different peruqyah ada cara-cara sendiri lah. Ni cara I sendiri. So macam I did that. Masuk rumah ada tengok mata semua dah pandang sana sini semua. Takut bukan apa, takut dia tiba-tiba dia switch kan, dia capai tu gunting ke apa tu semua. So benda-benda pisau ni semua I selalu simpan dalam lemari ke mana-mana semua. Saya takut apa yang terjadi. Tapi so far Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
For you, there's the worst case yang dia turn violent
dia turn
One of many lah. Rasa
6 bulan juga. 6 bulan ni tak buat rawatan.
Kalau aku membadi kejap
nak kena, you know, kadang-kadang nak muhasabah diri, nak kena fikir balik where did I go wrong. Kita bukan suka-suka tau. We can do business by doing ruqyah, you know, the money here and there. Tapi kita tak ada that satisfaction.
Correct.
Datang rumah orang, you know, about that 1 hour kau gini kau settle kau keluar cepat-cepat. I mean that's not the way yang apa yang kita belajar.
Correct. Ethically it's not right lah.
Ethically, So I think for me atau for Brother Jazzy juga, I think we just make sure that pesakit kita is at the safe environment.
Important for you also lah. Make sure you are also safe environment lah.
And that's why in my class, sometimes when I have macam Muslimin yang belajar ruqyah, I always share with them as my ending point, when I say that you go for a rawatan and you find that the situation is a bit hard, ataupun you rasa macam so called the jin terlalu kuat ataupun sihir terlalu kuat, this is what I have to reiterate. It's not about the jin or sihir yang kuat. It is because on that day Allah didn't protect you, the peruqyah. So as peruqyah, me and Sarhan, our worry and our concern is that when we go to a place and Allah doesn't protect us. Why Allah doesn't protect us? Mungkin hari tu kita buat solat lambat, tak zikir pagi petang. We as kita sendiri tak do our normal protection or our own ikhtiar, Allah tak protect. So you masuk sana naked.
Faham.
Jadi bukan jin kuat. Jin yang paling lemah on that day also is stronger than you if you are weaker than them, because Allah didn't protect you. So that is a concern for peruqyah. I mean those who understand what is the risk of ruqyah kan. Because right now the entry level for ruqyah is very easy. Boleh baca ni, boleh buat ni semua, okay, you can be a peruqyah. But that part of peruqyah that most people don't understand the risk is that you are not protected if you don't do a lot of things.
Yeah.
You can go. And then I still remember Brother Sarhan shed one night Brother Sarhan dia muntah darah, that kind of thing. These are all the job hazards yang orang tak faham. And no amount of money can compensate that, because you are putting yourself in the line before a client or a patient. You become the face to against the jin kan. Member muntah darah kau bayar 200. It doesn't equate the value in terms of the contribution.
Faham.
Tapi maybe that day because mungkin Sarhan tak protect himself.
Faham.
Well, Allah tak lindung. So that is kita punya worry. Kita punya worry as a peruqyah is dosa kita yang buat kita lemah.
Faham.
Itu yang kalau orang faham kenapa dia affected is because your own sins are the one that
weakens you.
Kita tengok cerita the Pope's Exorcist I don't know whether you've watched before. That part I like to share with my patients or the students. I say from that movie, walaupun it's a Christian movie, but that movie carries a very heavy teaching, because at the end of the day it's your sins yang buat kau lemah. And dalam Islam pun memang Allah dah cakap macam gini. Kan apa-apa yang datang pada diri in terms of keburukan is atas tangan kau sendiri. So, sebab kita dianjurkan untuk istighfar banyak-banyak. So if we fail during that ruqyah, it's not because of the jin is kuat, it's because we have not been protected that day.
Faham?
Banyak pengajar.
Banyak reel.
Banyak pelajaran untuk kau kan. Banyak, kita semualah.
Banyak reel boleh potong boleh buat.
This is a very powerful sharing pada aku. I didn't know that kita sebagai suami, actually kita punya power to protect is actually very high.
Oh, of course. Kita sebagai khalifah di khalifah keluarga kita sebagai khalifah di atas muka bumi ini, apalagi kita seorang suami.
Ya, tapi
again, responsibility.
Tapi again, okay, ni cakap in general lah in the context of Singapore, bila kita nak kahwin, again bila going through the kursus rumah tangga, lagi-lagi sekarang I heard dia tak compulsory untuk pergi. Dah tak compulsory
tak tahu.
Dah tak compulsory
kahwin lagi.
Ni aku dengar ni banyak buyer, first time buyer. So bila aku dengar yang tak compulsory lagi, even if let's say kita were to go for this kursus rumah tangga, we don't get to understand this side of the knowledge tau. The knowledge of this, like say fardu ain, benda yang as a khalifah ni, the word khalifah ni is actually, it means to say that we nak kena be the imam, be the protector of the family. Tapi protector of the family kita selalu put in the context of
financial,
make sure nak kena provide shelter, makan cukup, anak-anak, baju isteri semua terjaga and stuff. We don't go to the side of
spiritual.
Correct. Protect in terms of macam tadi you cakap
spirituality lah.
Bukan just peruqyah punya kerja. You suami yang you nak kena tu. I peruqyah, I kat belakang, I instruct you to do. You do. So
I share with you one thing. I mean,
please.
When we say about Khalifah kan, I just remember this one case is at Clementi lah. I remember this because it touched my heart, because I nangis that time. Itu tak boleh handle pasal I was touched, because the guy was a guy who was heavily tattooed semua, that kind of thing. Okay. And the wife terkena sihir bila ada orang calit minyak.
Allahu
Akbar. Orang calit minyak kat bini dia. Lepas tu bini dia keep remembering that man and always wants to meet that man. And the man always comes in her dream to have relationship with the man. So the husband was very desperate really. So the husband called me. So when I came over, I was like macam ni kan, bila I baca ruqyah macam biasa, macam okey je lah macam tu. But I do not know why hari tu macam I tergerak. I suruh husband dia pula cakap, boleh tolong tak? The guy is younger than us lah. Dia cakap, boleh tolong tak you ruqyah your wife? Saya tak tahu bang, gitu. Tahu baca Al-Fatihah tak? Tahu, tapi sangkut-sangkut. I say never mind, we try. So I just teach him lah, cakap you pegang your wife and then you bacakan. So the part where it impacted me the most was because he was really holding the wife macam orang yang sayang kan, pegang Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, macam tergagap-gagap, merangkak-rangkak. Alhamdulillah dia pun Al-Fatihah dia pun tunggang langgang, but he was so sincere and I had to guide him bila dia baca Al-Fatihah, and he recited over 3 or 7 times, kalau tak salah it was 7 times dia baca gitu kan, and the wife just vomit out.
InsyaAllah. Benaik berumah.
Aku punya pun.
When I read, there was no effect, but because the husband, that's why I say when Kai cakap pasal the sincerity of the Khalifah, kita lelaki kan, that is what I mean. When you take charge of your own wife's affair, the effect of your ruqyah, your doa, walaupun Al-Fatihah tergagak-gagak, it becomes a different dimension. And ever since that, he became a better man. And the part whereby I tersentuh was because the wife and the husband actually hug each other after that. Because the wife said that aku tak pernah dengar suami aku baca Al-Fatihah. They've been married and they have a young kid, I think dah 3 tahun that time, and the wife has never heard the husband baca Al-Fatihah. So the first Al-Fatihah that the husband bacakan untuk bini dia is for ruqyah. You bayangkan.
So beautiful lah
kan. So it was like macam life changing.
Beremang
So when you talk about Khalifah, this is exactly what Kai want to see lah. Maknanya the Khalifah means tak kisah kau gondrong ke, kau whatever it is, kau isap rokok ke apa, but that sincerity, you want to protect your house from whatever it is. I want to protect my family. Lain, Allah jadikan you punya, pasal you punya status martabat is suami, still suami.
Yes.
So Allah berikan keberkahan pada doa yang you baca, pada ayat-ayat yang you baca, it becomes a different thing altogether. So these days when I go ruqyah kan, when I go ruqyah also, when I know that there's a husband, tak kisah dia tattoo ke, tak pernah ambil wuduk ke, I'll teach him there on the spot macam mana nak ambil wuduk. Azan dia Allahu Akbar jadi macam azan takbir raya.
Jadi go.
You teach him because once he learns that and the wife sees the husband tries, that is a powerful punya dynamic shift. Because now the wife look at the husband macam, okay, suami aku is making the effort. Lain. So that's the part where kita nak kena educate sikit lah.
Menitis
so your podcast kena buat tu lah, insyaAllah.
My gosh. Aku ingatkan tadi the pedip dah stop tau. Ini lagi meremang bulu roma. So hopefully really we really hope that this episode can, this sharing lah from brother Hijazi is really powerful to those husbands kat luar tu yang digelar sebagai khalifah-khalifah untuk keluarga korang, untuk rumah korang. That you must understand that the term bila kau dah digelar suami kau, ni semua kita pun cakap untuk kita myself that we hold a very huge responsibility and actually power lah in us. Dia jangan just talk about the barang-barang dunia lah. Let's also understand on the barang-barang spiritual ni. Betul lah abang? Betul. Brother Hijazi, betul true.
Baik, so, ada any last word from yourself tak? To the to kita punya penonton Ruqyah dan Mantra, insyaAllah.
Okay. So my last words is maybe to the audience is for you to understand that the knowledge derived from this kind of podcast is important for you to learn, appreciate, and for you to jadikan iktibar untuk belajar sendiri also. Okay. Kalau di antara mendengar podcast macam gini dengan tengok cerita-cerita ataupun follow paranormal malam-malam kat TikTok kan, what I'm trying to say is that ada hikmah dan ada berkahnya kalau this kind of podcast comes into your FYP or comes into your feed. Because memang mungkin Allah gerakkan hati untuk you ternampak, and then take this time to actually learn a bit more about ruqyah. Walaupun ruqyah tu adalah fardu kifayah, tapi it's helpful to have. Tapi more importantly, jadikan ni sebagai stepping stone untuk you mempelajari akidah dan tauhid you. Because once you know that Allah is with you, there's a lot of things that you can do, insyaAllah.
InsyaAllah. Once again, thank you Brother Hijazi for coming.
Baik, untuk para penonton Ruqyah dan Mantra, what a great sharing guys.
Yes.
What a great sharing, Masya Allah. Beautiful. Baik, kita akan tutupkan podcast ni hari ni. I mean episode ni kali ni. Okay, dan para siapa semua para penonton yang we touch on a little bit of kita punya sponsors, pada awak semua yang ingin menjual rumah ataupun membeli rumah, silalah ke laman Ruqyah sorry brother. Silalah ke Instagram propertysingapura.sg, boleh hubungi Kai Syazwan dan juga Rusdi Roslan.
Ya, betul. Anything kalau you have tak kisah kalau this is your first time beli rumah ke, atau your BTO and then you feel like you nak upgrade to a bigger house, atau you ada ura-ura lah to say that nak pindah kondo. Macam itu, kalau you all not sure on the steps ke, atau you all unsure of your numbers, can just DM kita dekat kita punya Instagram Property Singapura.
Okay.
Yalah, kami sedia membantu semua you punya pertanyaan tentang rumah lah, insyaAllah.
InsyaAllah.
Dan little shout out to Elite & Co for sponsoring baju ni yang saya pakai ni, Ruqyah dan Mantra. Actually kita semua ada kat sini. Kita ada baju ni tapi dia tak pakai.
Belum try.
But I will just wear it first. Terima kasih to Elite & Co. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Dan juga untuk sekali lagi untuk awak semua yang ingin membeli produk-produk Ruqyah ataupun produk-produk bidara, boleh ke laman ruqyahbox.com ruqyahbox.co.co dan untuk mendapatkan dia punya barang-barang produk-produk kat situ. Actually go and watch it few times lah di website dia, and barang-barang dia semua is bidara base, right?
Ya.
Bidara base. Masya Allah, you all boleh cari kat situ ataupun lungsuri di Instagram Bidara SG ataupun Facebook Bidara SG. From there banyak sangat knowledge, ilmu-ilmu pengetahuan untuk rawatan yang anda semua boleh lungsuri dan pelajari secara online, is it? Secara online.
Betul lah.
Sekali-sekala Brother Jazz juga ada buat kelas-kelas ataupun kursus-kursus ruqyah untuk both muslim dan muslimat. Betul, untuk semua muslimah ataupun
muslimin dan muslimah lah.
Salah cakap. So you all boleh jugalah tengok lungsuri dia punya Instagram. You will get the information down there. Then you can sign up. All the details will be down there. InsyaAllah kita sama-sama dalam Ruqyah dan Mantra kita doakan bahawa kemakmuran Bidara SG dan juga ruqyahbox.co, insyaAllah. Mudah-mudahan you punya produk ni akan sampai, dan knowledge you ni akan sampai kepada semua orang lah. InsyaAllah. Okay, any last word from you guys?
No, I just want to say thank you once again, Brother Hijazi, for
coming.
Thank
you so much, brother.
We really appreciate your sharing. I think a lot of our listeners pun akan appreciate your sharing.
InsyaAllah. Baik, dari itu kami memohon maaf kalau kami berempat ada tersalah cakap ataupun dalam terkasar bahasa kami menyusun 10 jari meminta ampun, minta maaf. Maafkanlah kami, insyaAllah. Okay, on to the next episode. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Signing out.
Waalaikumsalam.